Professional Collapse: How AI is Gutting Consulting, Law, Accounting, Medicine, and Education Before Our Eyes, by Steven Scesa. Copyright 2025. Author. Note: this work is entirely original and authored by Steven Scesa. While AI tools were used for drafting support, all material has been reviewed, refined, and expanded through human editorial oversight. Introduction: The New White-Collar Reckoning. For much of the 20th and early 21st century, a university degree was a ticket to security. The professional class, doctors, nurses, lawyers, teachers, accountants, and consultants, were the backbone of the modern economy. They were insulated, credentialed, and institutionally protected. But artificial intelligence doesn't respect credentials. It doesn't wait for regulations or bureaucratic permission. It simply does the job, faster, cheaper, and in many cases better. In just the past few years, we've seen AI generate legal memos, interpret radiology scans, tutor students in calculus, write code, and manage complex financial models. The assumption that elite cognitive work was immune to automation has been shattered. This ebook is a brief tour through the crumbling citadels of professional prestige, focused on law and accounting, medicine and nursing, and education at every level. Each chapter is adapted from a standalone article, but taken together they form a single argument. We are witnessing the unraveling of the white-collar labor model as we've known it. The pyramid is cracking. The credentialed gatekeepers are losing their leverage. And a new kind of knowledge economy is emerging, one built not on institutional hierarchy, but on adaptability and intelligent collaboration with machines. If you are a professional, a student, a parent, or simply a citizen trying to understand what's coming next, I invite you to read with one question in mind. What happens when the smartest person in the room is no longer a person? Chapter 1. How AI Will Gut Big Law, Consulting, Accounting, and the Billable Hour. While the headlines have focused on AI replacing warehouse workers and call center agents, the more seismic disruption may be coming for the white-collar elite. Consulting, law, and accounting have long been viewed as the intellectual refugees of upward mobility, stable, prestigious, and recession-resistant. But that story is now coming apart, not slowly, not hypothetically, but in real time inside firms that haven't yet realized how replaceable they've become. It's not just that AI can do what junior professionals used to do. It's that AI can now do those things faster, cheaper, and more accurately, with no sleep, no burnout, and no lingering student loans. And when you combine that with increasingly powerful interface tools, the real threat isn't just to juniors. It's to the senior partners who still think their name on the door makes them indispensable. AI doesn't care about the org chart. Here are 6 core transformations reshaping the future of professional services, with a particular eye toward big law and the accounting industry, and a few thoughts on what new paths might emerge if professionals are willing to adapt rather than cling to a rapidly changing model. Automated work papers and anomaly detection. Who it hits: entry-level accountants, audit associates, and compliance juniors. Most professionals don't realize how much of their value was built on being the cheapest option to perform tedious but essential labor, reviewing transactions, preparing binders, formatting summaries, checking for outliers. AI tools like MindBridge and Alteryx are now producing work papers with built-in anomaly detection across entire ledgers instantly. What used to take a team of humans a week now takes a model a few minutes. The margin compression in audit and accounting will be brutal. Opportunity for the future. Professionals who shift from paper pushing to insight shaping will thrive. Those who can guide clients through what the anomalies mean and how to act on them will remain valuable. But the ability to describe variance isn't enough. The new accountant isn't a ledger jockey. They're a narrative analyst, data interpreter, and strategist. Real-time risk monitoring and root cause analysis. Who it hits: mid-tier consultants, in-house compliance managers, and process auditors. Firms used to sell quarterly updates on regulatory risk or operational exposure. Now, AI offers 24/7 dashboards with embedded alerting systems. The idea that a company would wait for a semi-annual memo from a consulting firm to find out where it's vulnerable already sounds laughable. Root cause analysis. Once the domain of war rooms and whiteboards, is being reduced to a prompt fed into an AI system trained on your firm's historical data and industry baselines. Opportunity for the future. There's still value in guiding strategic response, in knowing which risk matters and which doesn't. But the consultancies that fail to productize this intelligence or embed it in their clients' own internal systems are going to find themselves cut out. The future here belongs to hybrid strategists who know how to interpret signals, coach response teams, and build flexible playbooks, not the ones who keep sending decks. Control rationalization and dynamic audit planning. Who it hits: senior internal audit staff, control teams, and operational risk leads. One of the least appreciated disruptions will be how audit cycles evolve. Annual audit plans are about to become artifacts. Dynamic planning, updated weekly or bi-weekly based on real-time system input, is now possible and frankly preferable. AI can also rationalize which controls actually reduce risk and which are just legacy holdovers clogging workflow. That means entire departments devoted to testing and validating static control frameworks are in jeopardy. Opportunity for the future. Risk professionals who can translate AI-generated maps into institutional change management will be in high demand. The control experts of tomorrow won't just validate, they'll optimize. They'll ask whether a control adds value, not whether it merely exists. Conversational reporting. Who it hits: junior lawyers, litigation associates, regulatory memo writers. The legal field has long depended on associates to prepare and translate dense legal or factual findings into readable form for clients and executives. But with AI, clients will increasingly ask their own questions in plain English and receive intelligible answers instantly. Think discovery results distilled in seconds, or regulatory impact statements delivered through natural language queries. Opportunity for the future. Lawyers who master prompting, model validation, and fact-checking will become AI-augmented super-analysts. Those who insist on billing 20 hours for what an LLM can do in 20 seconds will be left behind. The new leverage model isn't human, it's digital. Regulatory change mapping. Who it hits: big law compliance practices, research associates, legal librarians. The time lag between new regulations and firm response is compressing. Clients expect instant insight into how a new rule affects their operations, not a 20-page brief 2 weeks later. AI systems can now instantly map regulatory changes against internal control matrices and industry policies. Opportunity for the future. The edge will go to those who can not only generate the compliance overlay, but also help clients prioritize action. Legal professionals who can build or manage AI-powered compliance dashboards for clients will replace entire layers of traditional service delivery. These are the lawyers who won't just survive, they'll lead. Artificial intelligence governance, ethics review, and hallucination detection. Who it hits: overconfident senior partners, resistant managing directors, and those who think thought leadership alone will protect their book of business. There will be a strong demand for professionals who can provide ethical, regulatory, and governance frameworks around AI use itself. But this isn't just a lifeline for the old guard. It's a test. If senior partners think they're immune from change, they're in for a rude awakening. Younger professionals who embrace these tools and use them to serve more clients faster and cheaper may leapfrog entire career ladders. Opportunity for the future. The future belongs to adaptive professionals, regardless of age or title, who learn how to orchestrate and manage a suite of AI tools to serve clients better. Some will build microfirms using AI agents as their team. Others will develop hybrid practices blending legal, technical, and ethical oversight into a new form of consulting. The unifying trait will be adaptability, not pedigree. The pyramid is crumbling, and that's not all bad. AI is flattening hierarchies and replacing the leverage model that made traditional firms so profitable. For those clinging to legacy compensation structures and static career paths, the next decade will feel like erosion. But for creative, adaptable, and ambitious professionals, especially those earlier in their careers, it's a wide-open frontier. The idea that a 28-year-old can build a 7-figure consultancy without a single employee would have sounded absurd 5 years ago. Today, it's plausible. By 2030, it will be common. Chapter 2. The next white-collar reckoning: how AI will disrupt medicine, nursing, and geriatrics faster than we think. The conversation about AI and healthcare has so far centered on patient outcomes and clinical accuracy. Will AI make diagnoses better? Can it reduce medical errors? Will it eliminate the delays and frustrations of the modern health system? These are good questions, important questions, but they are not the only ones we should be asking. If you step back and look at how AI is transforming other professional domains, a different kind of question emerges. What happens to the people doing the work when the systems they operate become smarter than they are? Medicine, nursing, and geriatric care have long held a kind of protected status in the professional imagination. These are not jobs you can outsource or digitize, or so the argument went. They require in-person skill, years of training, and emotional intelligence that machines simply can't replicate. But that narrative is breaking down. AI isn't just improving the tools clinicians use. It's beginning to reshape the roles themselves, eliminating the need for many, compressing others, and opening the door to new models of delivery that may bypass legacy structures entirely. We are on the cusp of a white-collar disruption in the healthcare, not unlike what's happening in law, consulting, or accounting, but potentially larger and more socially volatile. This isn't the robot apocalypse. That too is coming sooner than you think. It's something subtler, faster, and far more likely: the quiet replacement of traditional roles by AI-enhanced systems that outperform, outlast, and outscale the human labor they were built to assist. Clinical diagnostics are no longer the exclusive domain of doctors. It used to be that diagnosis was the sacred province of physicians. Years of schooling, clinical rotations, and residency training were the price of admission to interpret symptoms, order tests, and arrive at a medical conclusion. But today, AI models, trained on millions of case files, imaging scans, and genetic data, are outperforming even experienced specialists in fields like radiology, dermatology, and pathology. In some studies, AI systems detect cancerous anomalies with higher sensitivity and fewer false positives than board-certified physicians. One of my own neurologists is using AI to help treat me even. The implications are seismic. If an AI can read a chest scan more accurately than a pulmonologist, what exactly is the pulmonologist for? Yes, there are edge cases and complex judgments AI can't yet handle, but the trend line is unmistakable. The core diagnostic function, once the foundation of medical authority, is being automated. This doesn't mean doctors will vanish, but it does mean their role is changing. Physicians who embrace this shift may become supervisors of AI systems, validators of edge case scenarios, or care coordinators rather than diagnosticians. Those who resist may find themselves increasingly irrelevant, particularly in specialties where diagnostic accuracy is the primary value driver. Primary care is poised for automation and scale. If AI can diagnose basic conditions with high accuracy, triage patient complaints, and even generate treatment plans based on established guidelines, then the traditional primary care model is in trouble. Platforms are already emerging that allow patients to input symptoms, receive AI-driven assessments, and even get prescriptions approved by remote, licensed providers who act more like compliance officers than clinicians. The AI-first clinic is no longer speculative. Companies like Forward, K-Health, and Babylon Health are already delivering something close to this model. The doctor is no longer the first line of defense, the algorithm is. And if the algorithm is good enough, the doctor becomes a formality, a regulatory necessity. That's not a sustainable long-term justification for high salaries or broad employment. Expect a future where a single clinician oversees hundreds of patient interactions per day, with AI doing 90% of the work. And as regulatory environments catch up, even that minimal human role may shrink. Nursing will be augmented, then hollowed out. Nurses are often thought to be safe from automation because of their physical presence and relational role in patient care, but this assumption is dangerously outdated. AI is already streamlining the core cognitive tasks nurses perform: documentation, medication reconciliation, vital sign interpretation, and shift handoffs. Nurse-focused digital assistants are reducing the time spent charting by 70 to 80% in some pilot programs. Meanwhile, robotics is beginning to nibble at the edges of physical care. automated IV pumps, smart beds that reposition immobile patients, even robotic walkers and medication dispensers for long-term care settings. Add to this the rise of remote monitoring and hospital-at-home models, and the number of nurses physically present per patient drops dramatically. The hollowing out effect is real. What begins as augmentation of the nurse's workflow becomes substitution, not all at once and not everywhere, but predictably and irreversibly. Geriatrics and long-term care will be transformed by necessity. Unlike other specialties, geriatrics is not well staffed to begin with. The U.S. has fewer than 8,000 board-certified geriatricians for a population of over 70 million people aged 65 or older. With the baby boomer wave accelerating and the workforce aging out, there is no feasible way to meet demand using traditional models. This shortage is why AI and robotics will play such a major role in elder care. Expect AI-powered systems that manage medication schedules, detect falls, monitor vitals, and notify family or emergency services automatically. Conversational AI companions, once considered novelty devices, are now being used to combat loneliness, provide cognitive stimulation, and even detect signs of depression or delirium. For families, this might feel like a relief. For workers in the sector, it could be devastating. Entire roles, from home health aides to assisted living caregivers, may be restructured or replaced. The economic consequences for immigrant and low-wage workers, who make up the backbone of this sector, will be particularly harsh. Medical education will be disrupted before the profession fully changes. One of the ironies of this transformation is that medical education may be the last to adapt. Students will still be trained in diagnostic reasoning and rote memorization, even as those functions are being outsourced to machines. This creates a pipeline mismatch. Thousands of young professionals being trained for roles that are vanishing or evolving beyond recognition. Licensing boards, medical schools, and credentialing bodies are notoriously slow to adapt. That inertia will leave a generation of students caught between the credentialing requirements of the past and the labor market realities of the future. Meanwhile, independent actors, from startups to global tech firms, will build AI-driven care models that don't rely on traditional professional hierarchies at all. A new class of AI-enabled health entrepreneurs will emerge. As with law and consulting, the real opportunity may not lie in preserving the old structures, but in building new ones. Clinicians, particularly those early in their careers, who embrace AI tools and learn how to orchestrate care using digital agents, remote monitoring, and automated diagnostics, may find they can deliver more care to more people at lower cost, with less overhead. Some may launch microclinics or concierge models using AI to manage patient flow and track outcomes. Others may join or start companies that offer health management as a service, blending AI insights, remote coaching, and periodic human intervention. The common theme is decentralization, small teams delivering scalable care without large institutions. This is not science fiction. It's a business plan waiting for someone to execute it. The future isn't just automated, it's reorganized. We tend to frame AI disruption as a matter of replacement, as if the question is simply who stays and who goes. But the deeper reality is reorganization. Medicine, nursing, and geriatric care are not going away, but they are being structurally altered, stripped of the tasks and routines that once defined them, and reshaped into new forms that prize adaptability, digital fluency, and system-level thinking. The professionals who thrive in this transition won't necessarily be the most experienced. They'll be the most flexible. Those who see AI not as a threat, but as leverage, as a way to serve more patients, more intelligently, at less cost, and with greater precision. The healthcare workforce is about to face its own version of the white-collar reckoning. It won't be loud, it won't be dramatic, but it will be irreversible, and the clock is already ticking. Chapter 3. The Last Bell. How AI is about to upend teaching, schooling, and the future of education. For well over a century, teaching has been seen as a noble, necessary profession, resistant to automation, deeply human, and foundational to society. Doctors and lawyers might get more respect, but teachers shaped children in the future. They were indispensable because they managed the messiness of childhood, translated textbooks into life lessons, and shepherded young minds through standardized paths of knowledge. In more recent years, it has been argued that teachers have become vessels of indoctrination. But what if the core of that role, transmission of information, assessment of mastery, classroom management, is no longer uniquely human? What if machines can now teach more effectively, personalize more intelligently, tailor ideology to the parents' desires, and scale more affordably than any school district or state board ever could? We are entering a moment where AI may not just augment the teaching profession, it may displace large parts of it. As in law, medicine, and accounting, the shift won't begin with the top performers. It will begin at the margins, the overworked, underpaid, and standardized parts of the system that have been ripe for replacement for years. And from there, it will spread upward. This isn't a crisis of curriculum or pedagogy. It's a structural shift in the delivery model of education itself. Lesson plans, grading, and classroom management, all automated. It's already happening. Teachers today can generate lesson plans in seconds with tools like ChatGPT or CanMigo. AI can match content to state standards, adjust for grade level, and even embed comprehension checks or suggested activities. What used to take a Sunday afternoon now takes 30 seconds. Grading, too, is vanishing as a manual task. AI tools now assess writing, detect plagiarism, score math and science problems, and provide corrective feedback instantly. Platforms like Gradescope, Writable, and Google Classroom integrations have begun to handle tasks that once consumed hours of human effort. Even classroom management is going digital. Schools are piloting behavior monitoring tools that use predictive analytics to anticipate which students are likely to disengage or disrupt and intervene in real time. Cameras and wearables can detect agitation, inattentiveness, or health-related anomalies long before a teacher can. If the primary responsibilities of a teacher, plan, deliver, manage, assess, are increasingly automated, then the profession must either redefine itself or risk becoming vestigial. Personalization at scale, the end of the average student, the industrial model of schooling, one teacher, one lesson, 30 students, is built around the logistical constraints of physical buildings and union contracts, not the cognitive needs of learners. Everyone moves at the pace of the middle. Advanced students are bored. Struggling students fall behind. Teachers pressed for time and resources teach to the mean. AI upends all of this. Personalized tutors like Conmigo, Synthesis, and future iterations of GPT-driven learning platforms adapt instantly to each student's pace, interest, and knowledge gaps. They provide just-in-time hints, generate new problem sets tailored to misunderstood concepts, and track progress with far greater precision than any human ever could. For the first time in modern education, students who excel aren't shackled by the average. A mathematically gifted child in third grade can master algebra by age 9 and calculus by fifth grade. AI enables them to move at their cognitive speed, not the district's schedule. At the same time, students with sensory processing issues or learning disabilities benefit from systems that reduce not only understimulation, but also overstimulation, allowing them to learn in quieter, more intuitive environments. The friction drops at both ends. This breaks the fundamental compromise of modern schooling, and it reveals a new pedagogical gap, not just how to teach, but how to mentor the exceptional. With personalized learning at scale, even the Socratic method, once the domain of elite academies and honor seminars, can be made available to exceptional students of any age and any zip code. The great unbundling of the school. Once the core teaching function is unmoored from physical schools, the institution begins to fragment. Parents, particularly those in upper and middle income brackets, are already seeking alternatives. Hybrid pods, micro schools, AI-assisted homeschooling. Geography becomes irrelevant. If your child can learn calculus from an AI tutor trained on the world's top pedagogy, why settle for the local district's slowest paced track? Add in video mentorship, parent forums, and a few hands-on activities or field trips, and you've recreated the school, but better. And unlike the sprawling school bureaucracies we're used to, these models are lean, responsive, and tailored. Instruction becomes a service layer, not a place. The teacher may be virtual, distributed, or part-time. The administrator may be an app. In this context, schools may be reduced to logistical hubs, places for childcare, meals, and credentialing. But the monopoly on content delivery is gone. That genie is not going back in the bottle. Higher ed will not be spared. Universities like to think of themselves as thought leaders, but in practice, many are credential factories with bloated cost structures. AI is now threatening to do what decades of budget-conscious reformers couldn't: disrupt the monopoly. College students already use AI to draft essays, summarize readings, generate citations, and test comprehension. Professors use it to build syllabi, grade, and even write lectures. Interactive AI tutors are replacing passive lectures with Socratic, query-based engagement. Why sit through a 90-minute lecture when a 9-minute tailored conversation can teach you the same thing better? More importantly, the market is starting to notice. Employers are valuing demonstrated skill and portfolio work over transcripts. New platforms are emerging to verify knowledge via AI-proctored exams or micro-certifications. The idea of a 4-year degree as the default mode of career preparation may finally be dying. The teacher's role isn't gone, it's just changed. Teachers won't disappear, but their role is changing fast. Content delivery is no longer their monopoly. Assessment is no longer their exclusive domain. What remains is human connection, guidance, and mentorship, roles that matter deeply but require far fewer people. A great teacher in the AI era is someone who knows how to prompt, how to listen, how to cultivate curiosity and character. They are part therapist, part coach, part learning architect. Their strength isn't in controlling the classroom, it's in shaping the learner. This new model doesn't support the old headcount. Fewer teachers will be needed, but those who adapt will be indispensable. Those who don't may find themselves phased out, not out of cruelty, but efficiency. What we lose, what we gain. This is the beginning of a great reorganization. What we lose, the factory model, the slow grade progression, the protective uniformity of the local school. We also lose jobs, especially those built around repetitive, standardized instruction. Union power may decline, bureaucratic bloat may recede, but what we gain is powerful. Individualized learning, faster mastery, better use of giftedness, and the return of parental agency. In fact, we may see the reemergence of a very old model, the one-room or two-room red schoolhouse around every corner, modernized by AI, small multi-age groups learning together with minimal overhead and maximum flexibility. The bell is tolling not just for classrooms, but for an entire paradigm. Those who hear it as a death knell will fight to preserve what's familiar, but those who recognize it as a beginning, a call to reimagine how we teach and learn, will have the chance to build something better than what we had before. Education isn't being destroyed, it's being reorganized, and the future of teaching will belong to those who are bold enough to help lead that reorganization. Conclusion. What comes after the collapse? We are not heading toward a post-work world, but we are heading toward a post-traditional profession world. What's breaking down is not human ambition or creativity. It's the layered, expensive, time-bound structures that once defined how people entered, navigated, and thrived in prestigious careers. In their place, we will see something flatter and faster. Young professionals will bypass hierarchies. Older ones will either reinvent themselves or fade into irrelevance. Microfirms, AI agent collectives, and cross-disciplinary generalists will replace many traditional offices. Learning will be continuous, informal, and AI augmented. Institutions will lag, individuals will leap. This is not just technological disruption, it's a civilizational pivot, and like all such moments, it will be hardest for those who once thought themselves safe. The only path forward is to lead the transformation before it leads you out the door. About the author. Steven Scesa is a former CEO with a background in corporate law, healthcare services, and high-growth entrepreneurship. After recovering from a 6-year medical hiatus, he now writes about the intersection of artificial intelligence, longevity, and institutional disruption. He lives in West Palm Beach, Florida,